Welcome to Reading with Nana, and hi to my returning friends. Today we will read part two of All Ball by Mary Pope Osborne. In reviewing part one, we know that little Mary, 8 years old, is going to have to move from Virginia, a place she loves, to Daytona Beach, Florida, a place that she knows nothing about. And we find out in part one that she doesn't like it at all. She also has to deal with the fact that her father is leaving the country, going to a faraway place called Korea, and he'll be gone for a year. So Mary is very sad. She is very grieved. Her dad gave her 50 cents. Well, he gave 50 cents to her brothers and her sister too. And they went to our version of the dollar store to buy something. And she bought a ball. She named it All Ball, and it became her friend. She used All Ball to deal with her pain. Part 2. Though everyone in my family must have thought my behavior odd, they adjusted quickly. Within a day or two, they were treating Sis's Ball sort of like a family pet. No one, however, was fully aware of how deep my attachment was until the morning All Ball was destroyed. It was a hot, bright July morning, just 2 days before Dad was to leave for Korea. I was outside before everyone else, bouncing All Ball on the sidewalks, inventing a family with a neat number of years between each child. I like the children to be 10, 8, 6, 4. Boy, girl, boy, girl. John, Jane, Jed, and Joy. While I was bouncing All Ball in the early warm air, a small black dog wandered down the sidewalk to see what was up. A little dog I paid no attention to until it was too late. And then everything happened so fast I couldn't stop it. I fumbled a bounce. That black dog charged and grabbed All Ball in his mouth. He punctured the rubber skin with his teeth and shook the deflated ball with happiness, tearing it to pieces. I started to scream. I screamed and I screamed and I screamed. Everyone rushed out to their yard. Old people from the quiet, lonely houses. My parents, brothers, sister. I couldn't stop screaming as I ran around, picking up all the torn pieces of All Ball. I clutched them to my chest and howled at the top of my lungs. My mother explained to the neighbors that my ball had popped. My brother and sister watched me in horror, my father in confusion. We'll get you another ball, he said. He couldn't have uttered more crueler, meaner words. There was no other ball like All Ball, not in the whole world, not with his spirit, his bounce, his steadfastness. I screamed, no, with such rage that everyone retreated. They backed away. I ran inside, and clutching the pieces of All Ball, I went to bed, yelling at everyone to leave us alone. I kissed the pastel colored nubby skin and sobbed and sobbed. I did not get up all day. I grieved for the death of All Ball with all the grief my 8 years could muster up. I was brought lunch, cool drinks, newspaper comics, wet washcloths for my head, and children's aspirin. But nothing worked. I would not get up. I would not let go of the torn pieces of the ball. At twilight, I could hear my family having dinner in the dining room. My mother had the decency to allow me to work out my sorrow on my own. I don't think she even allowed anyone to laugh. As light faded across my room, I could hear sprinklers spritzing outside, an old woman calling to her cats. By now, my eyes stung and were nearly swollen shut. My throat burned. My heart hadn't stopped hurting all the day. Little bits. My father stood in the doorway. He was holding a ball. It was mostly white with a little bit of blue. I moaned and turned my face to the wall as he walked toward the bed. You won't let me give you this new ball? He said. No, I said, gasping with another wave of grief. Go away. This ball's pretty nice, he said. Closing my eyes, I shook my head emphatically. Furious, he did not understand the difference between the ball he held and all ball. I hate it. Go away. He didn't. He sat on the edge of the bed, but I would not look at him. My burning eyes stared at the wall. My body was stiff with anger. I like your beret, he said softly. He was referring to the pink Scotty dog beret locked onto my tangled hair. I didn't speak. He cleared his throat. I hope you'll wear that the day I come home. I blinked. The truth was, I hadn't thought much about his coming home, only about his leaving. I'll bring you a ring when I come back, he said. I didn't move, just blinked again. What kind of ring would you like? I mumbled something. What? He asked. A pearl, I said hoarsely. A pearl ring? Okay. On the day I come home, I'll bring you a pearl ring and a music box. How's that? I'll hide it in the bushes, and when you ride up on your bike home from school, I'll jump out with the box and surprise you. How's that? He cleared his throat again. I turned just a little to look at him. I saw he had tears in his eyes. I didn't want him to feel sad, too. That was the worst thing ever. I reluctantly rolled over onto my back. I looked at the ball he held. It was still a stupid ball, no doubt about that, but I mumbled something about it being pretty. Will you play with this one? He said. I touched it with my finger. I let out a quivering sigh, then nodded, accepting the complications of the moment. All ball would know that he could never be replaced, ever. He was the one and only ball for me, but I could pretend to like this other one, even play with it, for Dad's sake. He handed me the white ball and I embraced it and smiled weakly. He smiled back. Come eat some dinner with us now, he said. I was ready. I wanted to leave my room. The light of day was nearly gone. Come on. He helped me off the bed, and clutching pieces of all ball along with the new white ball, I joined the family. My dad left soon after that. We entered a new school. Ball bouncing was replaced with friends, homework, and writing letters to Korea, of course, to Dad. Still, and this is weird, I'll admit, I slept with a torn piece of all ball under my pillow for the next year until my dad came home. I hope you like this story about how an 8-year-old dealt with a very difficult and sad moment in her life. Click like or subscribe. Until next time.